will call the meeting to order at 5:32. Listening on to roll. Sarah Thompson, here.
Janice Baker here. Jim DeLapp,
Here.
Mike Baker,
Here.
Lonnie Rainbow,
Here.
Kat Stone and Tom Trotter are currently absent.
You want to read it first?
Sure.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Has everybody had a chance to review the November 14th meeting minutes and the November preventative maintenance reports? There's been a motion to approve.
Move to approve. I'll second.
We have a motion by Mike, a second by Lonnie. Is there any discussion?
It was all the on time. Yeah. Maintenance, good job.
Yeah, that's what I had that conversation with them and let them know we're 0.5 away from being within compliance. Now.
Good.
6 straight months, so 100%. That's good.
Yeah, we were way below before, so we didn't see it all at 100%. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think they nailed it.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to 5.1, Sherry, and we'll give it over to you for the financial report. Yeah. Oh, this is.
Yeah.
Up there? Okay. I can follow directions like no.
Packet.
They were that. Is there any extra ones?
Yeah, she can have mine. Let me give you mine. Thank you. So the financial report, we should be at about 42% usage of our budget. And we're doing really well with that so far. Income is still at 22%, but that's just with first quarter reimbursements. We're still waiting on that. Once we receive that, we should be fine. Payroll overall is at about 30%. We were going to, with the medical transports, we were gonna divide some of the call center and all of that, but that just hasn't happened yet. So it still looks a little wonky.
In terms of responsible unit to charge to or whatever.
Yes, yeah. So we haven't done that yet. So just some may look over, some may look under, but that's because we kind of budgeted where we thought, we would use like one of the call center people would be for medical transports, and we just haven't. We haven't broken it down yet. But overall payroll's at 30%. Material and services at 34%. So we're doing good there. If you guys would like me to, I could just go over some of the big variances in each category. I know Jim had some questions on some of that a couple of months ago, but
Yeah, the only thing I did, what I noticed with this time is, it seems like telephone is always higher than is budgeted. And I know that cell phone and tablets are different, they're in a different category, but how come this seems to be higher than what it should be?
well, we budgeted based off last year's actuals, and if,
Okay.
the more people we hire, the more people that have to have tablets and
Okay.
phones.
So there's more
So,
people
well,
that.
We'll have to look at it
Uh-huh.
and make sure that we're budgeting, that we're really budgeting well next year.
Uh-huh.
But we have broken it down, per paratransit and so I have the year before was not
It was all
broken
mixed
down.
together.
It was,
Yeah.
so
Oh.
we kind of did our best to try to figure it out for this year, but it's not going to be exact. So
Okay.
there's a couple things that we'll have to look at
Uh-huh.
that are going to be very similar to that.
At the same time, you're gonna have things that are way under probably.
exactly, so we do,
As long as it
Yeah.
balances out.
It's gonna balance out, but still, it just looks,
right,
every single time, it's like, wow, it's cold.
Yeah.
240%, you know,
Right.
whatever, it's still,
right.
wow.
Well, and then like dues and memberships, you have like annual memberships that hit and they'll hit like early in the year, so then it'll make it look wonky all year until you get closer to the end of the budget, the fiscal year. And then it'll kind of even itself out. Travel is something that we're gonna have to look at because there was nothing because people were not going and doing anything in person because of COVID.
Right,
So now we're being able to travel and do some trainings and go to the CTA meetings and things like that. So, we'll just have to, those are just things that we'll have to look at a little more closely for this next coming budget. Uniforms was an unbudgeted expense. We hadn't budgeted for that at all.
Yeah.
And so that was just an unbudgeted expense. Telephone and tablets, we kind of talked about. Let's see.
that was the only thing that
Yeah.
jumped out at me was that,
Yeah, it just most of it is just when the annual memberships and stuff, and maybe I can budget so that budget it in the month that it actually hits for the annual stuff, so
it's gonna,
so it'll look better. But this is like my first full year
right.
of
that's
doing the
true, too.
expenses and breaking it out.
Right,
So, hopefully this next year is gonna look a little better, but overall, we're at 30%, which is under the 42% of where we should be, so
Okay.
we're still sitting pretty good.
good, great,
Our medical transportation, still continues to be a good, source of revenue for us. Right now, we're at a profit of 105,000 for the year for them. So that's just good match money and.
One question I have, and it's because I don't see it and I'm dealing with it at my work, insurance, where do you allocate your insurance?
It's usually, so part of it gets budgeted down in administration under 1-10-480 vehicle and facility insurance. It hasn't hit yet for this year. And then the other part of it is down under 1-22-480 vehicle and facility. So the vehicles pretty much land down in operations and then the building and stuff. Page 2 of 4. So 1-10-480. And then one down here.
Okay, very good.
And then 1-22-480. And we just got a $1,500 like a check of some kind from them, so
We had a
that's why
pretty
it's
big
in a negative, but it's.
spike on our insurance premiums.
do?
Yeah.
Okay.
what about health insurance?
Your health insurance, so that's, we break it down per in payroll. So it's gonna fall, I could break down the payroll and I could open up those categories for like admin payroll and you would see where the health benefits and stuff come in. But yeah, they get charged under the payroll for part of it.
Okay.
So if you want to see that next month, I can break down payroll or
I'm sure
open
you
those
can
up.
do a much better job with them counting does.
Okay. No, we break it down. I count everybody's payroll for admin. I go through the bill and I add everybody's stuff up for admin for all the bus drivers, for the para, and I put it in that payroll. But
Excellent. Yeah, I'd
I'd
like
like to have that. Okay,
next one.
okay.
That'll also show taxes and all of that.
Yeah, it'll show payroll taxes, everything.
We could vote a little section to that.
I'll do that next month.
Well, sure. I was bragging on you at another board meeting, but just the other night.
Those, the categories that you see for, and for payroll, I can, in my reports, I can just do a drop down menu and it'll open that whole section up and.
And it won't be any
exactly.
trouble for you.
Nope,
That's what I was worried about.
Nope.
too.
nope, it's already there,
All
so
right.
I just close them up and roll them up, so you guys don't have 5 or 6 pages.
Yeah, it could be a
It makes
lot.
the report longer, so.
Okay, any questions for Sherry on the manager report? I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, Cat moves, Jim second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving on to item 6, public comment for on agenda items only.
Natasha, anything?
I'm just gonna look over your shoulder.
Seeing none, we will move on to item 7, project updates. Cheryl?
Okay, so we have a couple of really big projects that are happening. So an ongoing update that gives kind of the timeline of what needs to be done and where we are. And then it's like a living document that we will be adding things to as, because there's a lot about what we're doing that we're not really 100% sure of yet. So this first one, 7.1, is our grant 35335, and that is our 5339 capital. It's a total amount of 2,610,000, and it is the one that was the initial grant to do the breaking ground and doing all of the construction next door, the excavation, utility installation, paving, sidewalks, perimeter walls, and construction, including the solar inverter and associated panels. And so basically all the prep work to get it ready for the building that we got then in the second grant. So we've had a few changes to what needs to happen just based on the fact that we did get the secondary grant that has the electric buses and the chargers. So that kind of changes what the parking needs to look like to ensure that the electric buses and their chargers are accessible. And so I have met with Nick with IE Engineering. We still had a little bit left on our contingency that we had initially done for the preliminary work when we did the pre-application conference with the city of Roseburg when we were looking to purchase the land. So it's been nice to talk through a lot of that with him and understand, you know, just how a project like this is supposed to move forward. So we did get the final signature and the executed grant on August 17th. And I provided the site drawing and the categorical exclusion document to Jennifer Boardman, and she met with the FTA. And we found that we had completed the document that was on the ODOT website, but it was not the one that they wanted. So we started over. It was virtually the same document, just slightly different format. So completed that and got it back to her. And when it got to her, there were 3 pages of check boxes and answers that were missing. So I went through and did that again. There was some glitches in the document where you would click on the checkbox and it doesn't check, then it opens the dialog box and you then click on checkbox. So just glitches. So we're still in the process of doing the NEPA process, but Jennifer does have a contact at FTA that FTA region, yes, FTA. Region
Yes.
10.
Yes. That she is able to work through everything that we need to do and keep the process moving. So initially I was not aware that was ODOT's part. And so I was holding on to the documents and had not forwarded them to Jennifer. So I was really grateful to find out that, somebody else is going to help. This is good stuff. So we just have the timeline that I put in here, and a lot of it is guesstimate. You know, the intention is to have the RFP for the project management done before the end of this month, so that we can get it out there and get bids for project management, and then have the
project manager move the rest of the stuff forward. And I did get some verbiage that I can put into the RFP that will give more points for the engineering company that is already working with us on site design. So it just makes it easier and more, it makes it more likely that the person who's been working with us will be chosen. It doesn't guarantee it, but it does give them more. Yes,
Is that IE engineer?
yes.
Where are they at?
They're right down here on Pine Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the other thing that we want to give preferential points for the folks being local. Cause it with it being, right next door that we're working, it would be really nice to have somebody that can just run right over here and
Stem
answer
the
all
flood
our,
and the
yeah.
water lines.
our panic, help us
Yes.
through all of that. So anyway, if we get the RFP out and get that awarded, then moving forward, I'll be working with the project manager to get the rest of this done. In a perfect world, we're looking to want to be able to break ground in the springtime and do the work over the summertime.
Right.
And then we're looking at some site design instead of doing a stick built building, doing something that is more like the bar dominiums. Where it's the bigger metal building, which is a lower cost. But then you can build the inside of it with
General Steel.
walls.
Do we own stock in that?
This is the commercial leasing.
So it's modular. More
So,
modular.
yeah, you build the offices and we're gonna have a conference room over there that we can do training and stuff like that. So we build all of that just like you would a regular building, only it's built inside the building.
I think of it like an airport hangar, if you've ever been in
Okay,
any of the corporate hangars and stuff like that, where they've got the offices, but you also have the hangar and all of that, that's kind of what.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they'll be able to work with Proterra and find out what the requirements are for you have to have like the catwalks over the buses to be able to work on the electric buses, because a lot of what has to be done is on the top of the bus. So just that there's a lot of learning. It feels like we're drinking from the fire hose, but we are meeting with Proterra weekly. That kind of takes us into the next 7.2 is the update on the other one.
So
which
these
are-
these are like hand in hand. Okay.
Yeah, they, and a lot of this one is dependent on, we don't have the actual executed grant agreement yet. So until we have that in hand, we can't sign the contract. But we do have the contract. I've gone through it and conferred with Jennifer. There were a couple of things regarding the payment, where they were asking for payment as you walk through the project. And then the final payment when the buses were delivered. But that's not how our process works. We have to have them delivered before ODOT is going to reimburse us for them. So I explained that to Proterra and they took it back to their contract team and
Fixed price.
yeah, they are willing to take our match money
Mhm.
as the down payment when we start production of the vehicles. And then take the balance of the payment when we take delivery. And so that works. So once we worked through those little changes, then I send it on over to Ron and he will have that reviewed for us before our January meeting. And that gives you a good rundown though, the project timeline of everything that we've done since we've got the notification of the award. So we did the letter of intent for the chargers and We've got a PO for the chargers already. And we went to the ZEB conference, the Zero Emission Bus Conference, and did the Proterra tour, which was most helpful in just knowledge base for what it is that we are doing and gonna be doing. And we're working on the contract review. We did the Balance Energy Management Seminar, and the energy management software is what tells the charger how fast to charge the bus. So once you plug it in and the software connects, it knows how much of a charge is already in the bus and what time of day it is. So whether or not it's going to slow charge until the peak time goes off. And then when it's a non-peak hours, then it can do the fast charge. And then once it reaches 85%, then it would reduce to the slow charge and complete at 95%, because these batteries will last longer if they're not charged to 100%. So
Because cars are only to 80%.
pardon?
I said cars are typically only to around 80%.
Oh,
They say don't.
That's
charge
what they
it.
recommend.
yeah.
I
You
see
can
it all the
totally
time.
charge them to 100% all the time, and some people don't have any trouble with them. They've been driving them for 200,000 miles and it have 100% every night because they don't have a charger at home. So they have to go to the fast chargers. And they just go to 100%. And 200,000 miles later, their battery is not losing any power. So it's kind of a myth.
Yeah, but there's a lot of learning. That
Yeah.
they're, you know, that's still new frontier. So, Proterra representatives did come here and meet with us, and we went through the configuration of the bus. And we are trying to, City of Sandy also got 3 buses. And so they're trying to get us to have as many similarities in our build so that they can do all 6 of them at once. And it is, I guess, one of those things where you're less likely to have a lemon.
If you use all the same parts for the same.
Yeah, if they're doing all 6 of them at once, it's all the same types of things that are going into them. We're gonna have some things that are just like a luxury, you know, your USB charging in between the 2 seats. The seats are gonna be where you can take the insert. There's an insert, so you take the insert out and you can cover it with a different kind of fabric or vinyl, or not have anything on it at all. And it helps with the cleaning and the maintenance. And so they should be less likely to be vandalized than the vinyl or the fabric that we currently have. So because there's no cushion in between the 2. So so that's all I got on those 2. They're moving along, and it feels sometimes like it's at a snail's pace, but I can, once I put it in the project timeline like that, then at least I can see I'm making progress. So I feel better about it.
But you really think we might break ground in the spring?
Yes, ma'am.
That's exciting.
Super exciting.
Super.
Yeah.
So when are you anticipating having a final plan done with them?
Oh,
the-
for what we're gonna do.
Yeah, site plan.
So we talked about it. So this is a whole lot, like what the site plan is gonna be. And the lines that you see right here, this is bedrock. And so that has a lot to do with what the end result is gonna be. So the changes that we're gonna make based on the electric buses, and the fact that instead of just covered parking, it's gonna be a building. And so we're probably gonna enclose all the way back here where this was gonna be employee parking. And so the building will go back further and the employee parking will be inside. But we'll probably do the charging along the side, so there's less likely to have impact into one of the chargers, the pedestals. And it it separates them from the rest of the buses. We're probably not gonna have straight through parking like that. It's probably gonna be at a slant because it's all gonna be pulled through
Mm.
parking, so less likely to have backing collisions like that. We're changing this, instead of 2 stalls, it's gonna be 3 preventive maintenance bays. And so what that does is then it pushes the offices that we were gonna have downstairs upstairs, and we'll do a second level for a lot of the offices and the conference room. We're gonna put the charging for the regular cars in front of the building and just against the building, because that way we can utilize the same the wiring. And this is where they intend to put the 80,000 gallon holding tank for the storm runoff. We have to bring our storm in from Diamond Lake Boulevard. And there is, the water line is at the far corner of the property, so we're gonna have to do a right of way along the fence line and bring the water in this way. And we do not know yet whether or not we will need a new transformer. Currently, there are 3 transformers on the pole up here, and then there's another transformer a little bit further up. But we're not sure, how many homes and, how big of an area that,
Probably need to put a vault in.
pardon?
Probably need like electric vault.
Sorry, yep.
Yeah, I've got 3 transformers at my house and it's gonna use nearly. Okay, this is a dumb question, but that is laid out like that. That is how it's going to be built on the side, so it goes into the hill.
So
Cut into the hill at the back where the parking is.
it probably end up with 2 levels of parking. There will be, just because of the amount of bedrock. So it'll, you'll come up and there'll be parking and then a slight dip. As you're coming through the parking area, down to a second level of parking. It will make it easier for the construction.
Does that
So,
accommodate all the landscaping and stuff that they're gonna make you do?
yes,
Well, you're
Yeah.
gonna have to do blasting, obviously, if that's gonna be anywhere near flat.
well, no, we're not gonna blast.
No blasting.
And if you blast, you actually have to go and take measurements from every structure within, I think it was a half-mile radius. And you have to measure whether or not anything moves, and if anything moves, then we have to pay for it.
Jesus. Okay, no blasting.
But there is a piece of machinery that they can bring in and do the excavation that just smashes the rock up.
Okay.
And the way that it was explained to me is there's 2 different sizes. And the one size is less expensive for the company to rent. But it would take them 3 or 4 days to do it. And the other one is much bigger and would do it much faster. And so you'd only have to rent it for 1 or 2 days. Because apparently it's not something that most companies just have on hand. They rent it when they need it. And so, yeah, they can bust a lot of it up, and some of the property they'll level down to, and some of it they'll level up. But it will be multiple different levels as you go up, and then it shows the 2 arrows at the top there. That's the 2 lanes were required to have a lane in and a lane out. Just like a regular road. Yeah, and there will be a bus wash in there too, but we haven't figured out.
I thought that was what this was down here at the front, but it goes on way longer than in the original plan when we were purchasing the property. It seems like it goes way back further than I was aware that it does.
Oh, so
And
it
because
is,
it's on an incline.
I believe it is 610 yards. Maybe feet,
Probably.
up to the property line that is adjacent to the house at the top of the hill there. And the width is right at the big oak tree or madrone tree that's halfway up the driveway. So we are on this side, the building side of the madrone tree is where we start.
Are we gonna widen that driveway down there? Maybe put some lighting, because you can't really, it's hard to see that.
Wish list since the
Yeah.
beginning.
Well, you know, we wrapped the
I know it's like right away or something right there, but I'm. No,
The
so we just put a
Christmas lights.
sign or something down there. that's-
a sign that is lit, that's backlit,
Yeah.
that you see night or day, you know, it just. I had ordered one and the person that we ordered through is, I don't know, gone off on some.
Well, I know
personal-
we need to get some kind of a permit from ODOT for that. Right away.
Yes, but we're gonna do all of that through our project manager.
We're thinking of breaking ground in spring. Have we thought of a communication strategy? Should we be pushing this pretty soon to the public and saying this is what we're doing and?
Kind of thought we should probably wait until we have plans. Well, you
Let's
know, I
be,
mean,
let's be
yeah.
unusual. and
to
understand.
be able to put it out, do a public meeting, get input, because that's part of the process we have
Right.
to do.
Like an open
And-
house type thing?
Yeah,
Do you have any renderings of what you think it would look like?
not yet, this is it.
Okay.
This is it. Well, and what we had originally thought, because he did do, like what the building would look like
Mhm.
on it. But, we're looking at different building type now.
Yeah,
And then instead of just having cover over the parking, actually having walls.
Mhm.
Because that will help soundproof the area. And, you know, prevent the neighbors from being really upset that there's buses starting up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
well, maybe you should go on cowboy radio and do a little preliminary talk.
Well, we will probably do that, yes, but
I mean, we don't want to be accused of trying to do anything underhand, and I certainly wouldn't.
no, well, and so part of the process is that we have been discussing this in a public meeting. Our
Yeah.
public meeting,
Yeah.
since before we actually purchased the land.
Mhm.
We did the City of Roseburg pre-application meeting where we met with all the utilities and they all gave their input as well. So that was the other thing that even, so now that our site plan has changed, Nick was talking with, I believe it was Rick over at City of Roseburg. And it doesn't sound like we've changed it enough for us to have to go through that pre-application process again. So
Is that Rick in Public Works or Ricky and?
Oh, Ricky.
Probably planning.
probably plan. Yeah, yeah. So as soon as I have more, I will definitely present more.
Yeah, I just think that we haven't talked about it enough, and I'm pretty excited about it, so.
I'm very excited about
It's
it.
hard
too.
Well,
not
now
to
we
talk
have
about
a
it.
plan and elevations, you know, and, you know, all
Yes.
of that, and we can't really vision, or see what it's gonna be yet,
Yeah.
Oh, no, but
Yeah.
we should give hints.
yeah. Yeah, definitely.
To get people started.
Okay.
All right, so any more questions? All right,
Hey, moving.
It'll be a fun
on.
year.
it's gonna be
You
exciting.
too.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot going on.
Item 8, funding recommendations from the SIP staff.
Okay, so our staff committee met, gosh, was that on the 10th? It was recently, 7, recently. And so we put a public notice on our website and sent it out for the notice of funding availability for the 5310, which is primarily for seniors and people with disabilities. And the newly combined, it used to be STF, now it's STIF. And they have taken the
STAF, is that what you said?
IF.
Oh, all right, yeah.
So they took what the funds that used to go into STF. And then the funding from STIF to complete that total combined them together, and it is now called STIF population-based formula. And so it's the old STF, which was lots easier than STIF population-based
Yeah.
formula.
Yeah.
Stiff PBF. All right. So this round was much easier than any funding rounds that I've been through in the past, in that everybody's ask was appropriate for what they were doing. There is history that shows that that's a good number that they asked for, and there are lots less. So we were able to, well, as you can see, I put our cost center in there for the 5310 and STF allocation. And then a preventive maintenance fund that all of the providers can access. And that has been helpful because it takes off the stress of their operations budget if they have preventive maintenance that is above and beyond your normal oil changes and stuff that's, you know, easily absorbed into the budget. But
Do we
like,
have a process in place for them to access that, or is it just they call and first come, first serve?
well, so we had $50,000 available through one of our grants for 2 years. And in the end, we ended up leaving, I believe it was 7,000 on the table. But they, in a 2-year period of time, accessed that much of the funding. So this, if it's not accessed, we just allocate it next time and we don't lose it. So that's why I wanted to do it through this fund. And then Mercy Express, what they submitted was right in line with what they have been running for operations costs. And City of Reedsport, same thing. They submitted actually less than I anticipated that they would. But we were able to fully fund every single project. And DRTF and Sunrise are our only 2 client-only providers. They both asked for slightly more this round than they have in previous years. And we had plenty within the fund to be able to fund them. And then the balance of what was left after all of the projects were funded left us $198,970 to go towards paratransit. And so typically in the past, that's something that we've always had to fight for, was to get paratransit funded. And so that was awesome. It just has worked out really well. So that was the funding recommendation that we discussed. All of the STIF staff members had copies of the applications to be able to review. And they had a discussion and agreed with the recommendation. Then this is the one that they wanted to move forward. And we do have Natasha on the line with us, and she was nominated as the new chair of our STIF staff committee. So if you'd like any questions if you'd like to ask any questions of Natasha, she's also available.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the 23 to 25 UPTD funding as recommended.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the STIF staff committee recommendations? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is approved. Moving on to item 9, STIF staff membership application review and approval.
So we have 2 of the provider positions that were open. And we have a lot of positions that are open. But yes, we posted them on the website. I also posted them on our Facebook page. And we're gonna work that into one of our radio announcement ads as well. So the application that we have for provider, we reached out to Sarah and Shelley over at Mercy, and Sarah did turn in her application. And she's currently Director of Communications over at Mercy, and is very well aware of how the Mercy Express program works for them, and kind of what our goals are with transit moving forward.
How many people are currently on this stack and how many are vacant?
So we have 12 positions, and there are only 5 that are filled.
I'll make a motion to approve Sarah Baumgartner for the stiff stack committee.
Second,
We have a motion and a second, any discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to fifth stack proposed revised bylaw.
So the revisions to the bylaws are just to reflect the change from STF funding to the STIF, STF consolidation of STIF population-based funding. So all of the revisions are highlighted in yellow. And basically, it is just the language from the consolidation committee, and then a replacement of STIF or STF with STIF population-based formula.
I will make a motion to pass the proposed revised bylaws, because they're just state wording and stuff.
Yes.
We have a motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to the general manager report.
Oh, gosh, I forgot it. I'm still talking.
I said voice feedback.
You've already covered a bunch of it.
I have, I've covered a lot of it. Our ridership fluctuated down about, I believe it was 600. From what it was, our fixed route ridership, fixed and commuter route ridership went down by about 600 in November, but that's kind of a normal fluctuation. October is usually a bigger month, and then November, with the holidays and everything, the ridership does go
And
down.
it's been extra rainy.
Yes,
Who wants to stand out there?
yes. So one
I know,
thing
felt sorry for the little baby in the stroller over at the mall.
that-
I'm thinking, I can't wait to see that bus shelter.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
In the rain.
So one thing that we did do that was really nice, we got contacted by Celebrate Recovery and the Dream Center, and asked if we would partner with them to provide rides to the banquet for the homeless over at the fairgrounds on the day before Thanksgiving. And so we were able to do that. We transported 67 and 72 people to and from so that they could,
That's a good idea.
yes.
72 round trips.
No, it was 72 total. There was 37 over and fewer came back.
Oh, we lost some.
Yes.
Oh, God. How do we explain that?
Well, and they did go through.
We didn't make the food.
It was a pretty awesome experience to listen to them as they were getting on the bus, and they were chit chatting, and we had a problem with the lift, and they were just very patient and, didn't have any words, frustrated or anything like that. We got them over there, and when they were talking about how amazed they were at how nice it was, and oh my gosh, they were dressed like waiters and waitresses, and it was just really neat.
Mm.
They had dressed in black slacks and white shirts to serve them. There were tablecloths on the table. They had real dishes, and just it was really heartwarming to. I drove.
I figured that out.
Yeah. A very, very neat project to participate in, and they've asked us if we would consider doing it again next year. And next year, we want to look at, instead of just picking up from one spot, we want to hit like 5 different spots that the homeless normally congregate.
Fred Meyer, disc
yes.
golf.
Yes.
Gaddis Park.
Just a city of Pittsburgh thing, or is it a county thing?
It was a combination of Celebrate Recovery and the Dream Center that put it on. So because they're nonprofits and they asked us to partner with them, and it doesn't fall under
Yeah,
charter.
I'm not worried about
Yeah.
that. I'm just wondering, like, for expanding where we're picking the
Oh.
homeless up from to bring them
To
to
bring
this.
them.
Or what are
How far are we willing to go?
Yeah, that's a really good. I mean, if we could get a van headed out in every direction.
And a lot of these
Mhm.
communities have, because I know in Myrtle Creek, we did a community Thanksgiving at the community center. I think Winston did one as well. So each
Okay.
community has
Okay,
something like this. So it was like I have to go down to Myrtle Creek because they're.
Yeah,
doing
It's
their
the non-affiliated areas that you have to.
But still, you can
think
get them
about.
to there, you know.
Because each community has its own, but if they don't have a government, they don't
own
have.
Typically, yeah.
Right.
so we did a lot of focus on getting the per terra stuff in line. We started weekly meetings with them and to ensure that we can get everything prepared and set to go as soon as we have an executed grant agreement. And then we spent some time with our insurance agent going through the new paid leave that goes into effect in January. And we've decided, instead of going with the state, that we want to do the comparable compliant plan through our insurance carrier. And that way, we don't have to make contributions until it actually starts in September. And if you go through the state and the employment, well, we had to sign up on the employment website, Francis,
Francis.
yes. So, and that's how they'll collect the monies. But we don't have to start doing that January 1. And it is 0.1% total that goes into this for each employee. But the company pays 0.6 of that 0.1%. And the employee pays 4. So 6 and 4, yeah.
So
For
if
the
we don't,
10th.
we don't start putting into it till September, is it a later access date then for employees? Or they still get to access it?
No,
The
because
access
it's
date
a
is
private
September.
plan.
Yeah, but if we're not gonna start putting into it in January like everybody else is, does that mean our?
I think everything has to be effective
No.
on in September.
Yeah,
Because,
Can't go
our
later.
private plan will pay the employees.
Right.
it would be good. Yeah, so that's been interesting, walking through that process and doing webinars and learning what exactly does that mean. And the general consensus is it's a potential nightmare.
Mhm.
Gee, what a surprise.
Yeah, it is more of the COVID era of paying people not to work.
The concern that I've heard is that even with the money being paid into the state, they anticipate that it's not gonna cover the full load of what will come out of the
All
system.
the requests that are gonna come from it.
Well, you can virtually anything,
Mhm.
you know.
Pays
I
for a
mean,
lot of stuff.
It is almost anything.
So it's gonna be interesting. It's hard enough to get people on board that want to work and have good work ethic and will consistently work. And this is this is gonna be one more challenge, one more hurdle for us. So, we also got the NTD report submitted, and I just got through the first round of revisions, so we shall see how that goes. Do you have any questions about any of the?
Yeah, it's all good stuff.
Anything significant on that incident? Or near miss, I guess.
So, yeah, that was, so there's for anyone that drives that particular bus, we need to have, a reminder of some sort, and we're working on that through our newly formed safety committee. We're still doing the trainings for how to have a safety committee.
Just not a lot of visibility or something, is that what it
It
was?
was
It's,
older bus.
it's an older bus that
What
is,
do you mean, not
The
there is a requirement for all drivers, if you are making a passenger stop, to let somebody on or off the bus. You have to put the bus in park, or on the other kinds of buses, you put it in neutral and apply the parking brake. And that forces you to go through a process as you're starting to move forward, that you can't accidentally get somebody that's in front of you.
Mm,
Yes.
and we did.
Yes, we gave him a ride that scared the, you know what, out of him. And, yeah, he was not happy. Can't blame him. And the driver was, looking in his rear view passenger mirror, dealing with an unruly passenger. The bus was not in park, because he could open the door without putting it in park. And so he didn't look forward before he started moving. And
Who else knew about this?
I didn't, I just read it. It was on here, so I figured it was important enough. So I was being here. I was,
Yeah, seriously.
Some kind of insider trader information
No.
here.
well, it was no injury. And that is a blessing.
Mhm.
So he just held on and
Thank God he had arms. So
he was trying to offload his bike.
is there any, any? Are we in trouble?
Not yet. If it comes to that, I will absolutely let you know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Not that I can do anything
Well, that's what
about
I'm
it,
sure.
but I'll look
Say
for us
they
a good
mentioned it.
budget.
Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah, but that is the kind of thing that I
Yeah.
would not want you to hear out in public and not have any knowledge of. That's the kind of thing that, you know, it's important to know. Yeah. All right.
And we're down a driver.
We are down a driver that decided that they don't want to work the hours that we have available. But we have also just hired a driver, so down one, up one. And then we did have one that was out on medical leave for an extended period of time. And rather than try to come back at the same level that she was, she's looking into the possibility of volunteer driving, but she does not know if that will work for her either. So, yeah, it's just the,
Normal,
Flows.
just
Yeah.
a normal.
yeah. And that's all I got.
Okay, any other questions for Cheryl? Moving on to item 12, ODOT updates. Jennifer.
Hello, good evening all. The main update is the stiff discretionary applications came in on November 30th. We have about $52 million in asks and about $28 million in funding. So it's going to be a very tight solicitation round since we're so oversubscribed on that funding source. We are just sent out the information to the ACTS, and they will be provided opportunity to make comment between now and the first week of February. And then we will be doing a review of all the applications and scoring them based on the answers that were provided and the information that we get from the ACTS. And then we will be taking it to PTAC on at their March meeting. And then it should be approved in March also for OTC. And then those will be executed on July 1 of 23. And then the other item of note, we do have a new capital program manager, Joe Heberlein, who was our former support analyst, got the position as a capital program manager. And then we also got a new compliance manager. So all us RTCs are happier and I'll get out because we've been covering these positions for the past year and a half. So take off some stuff off my plate. Let's see what else. We are going to be doing a solicitation, some discretionary solicitations, starting with the CARES sometime in the spring, summer next year, and then following those up with our regular discretionary 5310, 5339, which will be in probably kickoff in fall of 23 for grants due, applications due in January of 24 with funding available July of 24. So I think that is all I have.
Thank you, Jennifer. Any questions for Jennifer? Okay, moving on. Item 13, not on.
One other thing, sorry. Can I go back? Nope, too late. Sorry, sucker, you missed your chance. Just on the NEPA, FTA is way far behind on the NEPA, so Cheryl can't actually start her project until she gets the FTA approval. They said anywhere from 2 months to 6 months for the NEPA, so that kind of gives you an idea on timeline for when you can. We're gonna hope and pray for a quick turnaround, and maybe we'll have it back by February.
Jennifer, doesn't the NEPA have a lot of public input too? That takes a lot, adds to it like 60 days.
It does take a while. So what we have to do, because the majority of the things that Cheryl have actually get a, you are not impacting those, so you get an exclusion from those. And so that's what they're doing during the review from FTA, and then they'll come back if they feel like we need to provide additional information, and then we'll have to get that back to you.
Okay.
Okay, any other kind of ways? Okay, public comment. Any public comments?
Natasha.
Natasha, do you have anything? I'm gonna take that as a no. Agenda build for January 9th. Anything anybody wants on the agenda for next month?
I think we have the benefit of
No, that would better. Otherwise, I'd ask for a buy. But we get a vacation for the holiday.
I don't know. See why not? I don't have anything unless you guys think there's
Project
anything
updates.
pressing that we need to vote on next month.
Oh, yes, sorry.
You're so sharp.
Okay, the STIP's discretionary projects that we put in for, they go to the STIF Stack Committee for review next week, I believe it is. The 20th. Yes, and then so then they will also be able to provide input. I have a form that was sent to me to be able to provide input on any project that impacts our service here in Douglas County and in the district. So we have, in addition to our 2 projects, we also have the Coos County Roseburg connector. So we can say yes to fund that, or no, we don't want it funded. But it's a really good service, and it's not coming out of our STIP funding. So I think it's a really good idea to fund that one. But anyway, we'll have those discussions during our next meeting. And we'll also have the 53, not 57, the stiff. What do we call it?
Formula.
Yes, the formula payroll based projects. So like right now, we have our admin as a project and fixed route as a project and demand response and capital projects. Capital projects is going to have a big enough contingency to be able to take up any slack on where prices have gone up. So have that funds available for that project next door. So I'll be presenting that to the stiff step committee next week, along with the discretionary projects that we've already submitted. They'll be able to provide feedback on that, make recommendations for changes in the funding levels, that kind of stuff. And then that is what we have to present back to you guys in January, so that we can then do our meeting is on the 9th. And I think that the first application is due on the 15th or the 18th. So
14th. Formula is due on the 18th and 5310, 5311 on the 20th.
okay. So yes, we have to meet so that you guys can approve projects.
Sorry, Kat.
It's
No
okay.
vacation.
I just thinking of all of them.
March.
When I will be here.
We'll work on that together.
Or we can
We
just,
have worked steady all year. We haven't had 1 month off, not one.
that's
I have it.
well, we could always just make that the only agenda item and then, do a Zoom and done.
Does anybody feel like that's a good thing to support?
I mean, they even going through all this stuff, I think an hour, so.
Yeah, it isn't a heavy lift. It just frees your mind for
Yeah.
1 month. And there would be no homework.
Yeah, I will get you the funding recommendations as soon as it gets through the stat committee, so that they'll have time to review them, not just on the day of the meeting, but plenty of time before.
Good.
Can I make one comment about the Roseburg route for Coos Bay? They are only asking for the portion of the route that goes through Douglas County. So they could technically ask you guys for funding out of your STIF formula for this, but she chose to go through the discretionary because she knows how much people depend on their own STIF money. So if you think about it, support that one because it's only a $40,000 ask, I think is what it is, or something like that. So it's just the portion out of the area that she covers in Douglas County.
I'm willing to vote on it tonight. I'm yes.
Okay. We are officially adjourned, 6:35.
Good job, guys.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Yes, you too.
To everyone.